Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bradsher, thank you for being here today, and enjoyed our time visiting yesterday. That was very good. Thank you for your service and your husband's service and your entire family's service. And you got a beautiful family.
Thank you, Senator.
And I know you're proud of them. So I know you're glad they're here supporting you today. That's important. For this committee to act as an effective oversight entity for taxpayers, the VA must act in an open and transparent manner. I have experienced in the last few years several instances, and we talked about this, of the VA not providing data and information I have requested in a timely manner, though questions from the record, formal letters, and otherwise, other things. As Deputy Secretary, do you commit to righting these errors and working with me and my staff, providing information so we can work together?
Yes, Senator, if confirmed.
Thank you. A majority of your career has involved strategic communications and outreach. As Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs, as the Department of Homeland Security, you oversaw public outreach for the entire department. And prior to that, when you worked at the White House, you served as Assistant Director of the Office of Public Engagement, where you led veteran, wounded warrior, and military family outreach initiatives. Given your decades of experience in communication and engagement, how involved have you been in the VA strategy to educate and reach veterans on the PACT Act? You talked a little bit about that, but kind of explain a little bit. How will you help with that?
I do my best to stay out of Assistant Secretary Fulton's hair. It's really hard since I had that job over at DHS, Senator. But we've taken a broad, we have a strategic outreach, we have the Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs, but we've really looked at PACT Act as our main mission across the department, and making sure, because of the deadline of August 9th, we want to make sure that all veterans know about the PACT Act. So between outreach with our veteran service organizations, our all of our various platforms, and outreach, we have done something unprecedented for us. We have done over hundreds of events across the country in order to make sure that our veterans know about the PACT Act.
The PACT Act included a one-year open enrollment period for the post 9/11 combat.
Yes,
veteran.
Senator.
You know,
so it'll be back, so
yeah.
they can backdate the claim to August 10th of 2022.
Yeah. So 10 years past the separation from service of 9/11, that one-year period will end on September 30th. I'm concerned that the VA still does not have a mechanism to track the veterans who have enrolled under the authority thus far. You know, why 9 months after such significant legislation has passed does the VA not have a better way to track these people?
Senator, I think part of the challenge is we have some that file for PACT Act, and they'll also file for other claims that they had that may not be directly PACT Act related. And then we have others who have seen the press from the PACT Act who may not be impacted directly from the PACT Act, but have decided to go ahead and apply. And so that's part of the challenge, is pulling those together. But we do have some data in regards to how many PACT Act claims we've received so far.
You know, how many veterans were eligible to enroll under the one-year open enrollment period when the PACT Act was enacted? How many of them have enrolled at this point, do you think?
We had 3 million we think are eligible. My understanding is we're about 800,000 have enrolled so far.
What steps is the VA taking to improve this tracking process that you know of veterans that haven't enrolled?
Continued outreach, Senator. You know, trying to reach out to our untethered veterans, our Veteran Experience Office, trying to do as many events as possible and looking for new ways to be able to reach our veterans.
You had an interesting story yesterday about your burn pit experience in Afghanistan, correct?
Iraq.
About jogging, you know, and I would hope in the future, and I've talked to Secretary Austin about this, about burn pits being close to our camps and things like that. Could you tell your story there about your jogging?
Absolutely. I picked up a horrible time to pick up running, and so I was at Diwania, which is in Iraq, and the burn pit was located right in the center. And so as you would run, you would basically run around the burn pit, but it wasn't just that. It was also going to the talk, going to get chow. Anytime you would always go by the burn pits. But runs were really tough because you were out there for the longest time, or at least I was. And so your eyes would water. And then after your shower, you would spend the next 5 minutes coughing and getting the gunk out that you breathed in while you were running.
I can imagine how many veterans we have today that's having those problems.
Yes,
And
Senator.
hopefully we can help them with the PACT Act. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.